Over the past year, we have heard the word pivot so many times, but some companies have actually taken that to heart and come up with brand new innovations to try to help us throughout the pandemic. One of those companies is Airotrust and Storch product company. And to talk more about this latest innovation, let's bring in Matt Carr. He's the president. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we get into how you came up with this, tell us exactly about this new system.
So Airotrust is an apparatus that can hold a pleated filter, similar to like the same sort of filter that all of us are used to putting into our HVAC systems at home.
So like the filters that we always forget to change out?
that same filter, right? And it's ironically, what you just said happens far too often with businesses, restaurants, any indoor space. Those don't necessarily get changed on a frequent basis, right? Because you can't see them. So what we did, we created an apparatus that holds a similar type of filter. It also allows you to increase the filter's efficiency from like a MERV 8, for example, all the way up to a MERV 13. And it puts it in a place where we all can see it. It's visual, and our first product sticks to ceiling grids, which tens of millions of those are in the United States alone. It's the 2x2 ceiling tile grids with the supply vents that we all have above our heads, virtually everywhere we're indoors.
So when you look up, then you would see it because it just basically attaches then, right?
Yeah, we're a magnet company. We've done 300 million magnets over the last 70 years. So during the development phase, the easiest way you could attach something would be to create a device that has no fasteners or screws or is cumbersome. It sticks on as easy as a refrigerator magnet, the way we've engineered and patented this.
So obviously, it's pretty evident as to why you did this. But it's one thing to be, even though you were a manufacturing company, you think about it. But to go from that thought process to actually making the product, testing it, and now selling it, what was that process like?
So we do a really good job. One of the pieces that we all talk about, if we go back just 2 steps, we're a manufacturing company first and foremost here. And because we weld and we have a laser and we produce metal dust, there's air quality issues that companies like ourselves constantly face. Throughout the course of the last 10 years, we've added additional HEPA filtration systems to our manufacturing shop. But that dust and that weld smoke and those other particulates found their way into the front offices, which is in the same building. It's connected. It was really through the idea of it's time to address the front offices. And we didn't really see anything that was out in the marketplace that we liked. So we simply tried to make a metal version of what became Airotrust that would hold a filter and magnetically stick in my office is where the was really born. I just wanted to have something overhead. We had about 22 of 27 employees laid off when COVID was at its peak last year in Wayne County here where we're located. And as we brought back the employees and they saw this piece that was starting to be created, every single one of them wanted it above their head inside of the office. And we went from metal variations into fiberglass hand-laid components and plastics, and now we're full-blown plastic injection molding, and this is going large scale.
So this was actually thought about prior to COVID about air quality. And before that, so many people didn't really think about it, especially in our restaurants and our schools. But now after COVID, it's become a big topic of interest.
Well, we're hyper-focused on the quality of air. You know, the one thing, everything's so separated these days, and, you know, world's a crazy place, we'll say that, but we all want clean, safe air. I think every single one of us can come together on that, right? And that's what this does. This can reduce particulates by a significant amount. I provided a couple slides to you. One, for example, with the MERV 13 filter, we've seen a 94% reduction of particles passing through this Airotrust apparatus in a single pass. So that means that every time that volume of air goes through that supply vent and dumps directly above your head, quite frankly, we have reduced 94% of those particles and everything that's hazardous that is riding on those. We've got a significant amount of data, and we're able to do on-site testing so that you can see that live, the difference of where you're at right now versus where you could be with an Airotrust unit. And we can give ratings as low as 0.3 micron all the way up to 10 live in that test.
So Matt, what's been the response to this product from businesses, or have you even had really the chance to get out and start marketing it?
Oh, we have. We've had a lot of success stories. They're down at MIAT, the College of Technology in Canton, Michigan, for example, and they have every one of their supply events covered and have done so since last fall. They kept a lot of their campuses open, both in Houston as well as the Canton, Michigan location. We've done Covenant House Academy in multiple locations, which we're super proud of. And that might be personally one of the most rewarding stories for us. I went over there and installed some units, and there was a young man that's trying to finish his education, and he may be done by now. He was struggling like the other 90% of their students that were learning like we're having right now through Zoom. He needed to have that in-person learning. And the difference of Airotrust, he explained to me when he had told his mom and dad that it was in place, gave them the confidence, let them go back to school. They've done everything they can over there. They've got dividers, they have masks, they're sanitizing, but they even address the HVAC in a visual manner.
We're talking with Matt Carr. He's the president for Airotrust and Storch Product Company. And with that, Matt, we are hearing talk about this, I think, for the regular person, really the focus on air quality and circulation of the air coming from when we get on an airplane. And so is this something that could be somewhat similar for people to understand that it is reducing, what you're saying are, the bad things and letting only the good things through?
Well, we want to get virtually everything out, right? There isn't much that's good. Particles have been proven, and it's really up for everyone to do their own research. We at Airotrust, we don't make claims that this is a solution to COVID. There is no single source solution. I want to make sure I'm really clear about that today. But just eliminating debris that's in the air, the ability to have cleaner air and go home and know that you don't feel as wore down or as fatigued, right? That's a noticeable difference working inside an environment where you have Airotrust units. I felt it myself for 12 years inside of this facility, and in the last several months, it's been noticeably different. We have 15 of them in place here in our offices. So to get back to your question, look, anybody that's having seasonal allergies and so many of these other things that are viruses that are larger than COVID, and bacteria, mold spores, for example, dander, and just traffic, shop dust, traffic from high-lows, cardboard boxes, loading areas, machining areas where there's coolants and things of that sort, all the way up to something I'm really excited about now. We know Airotrust is here to stay because some of our most successful customers have deployed our carbon filter, and that's used for removing VOCs and wildfire smoke out of an indoor environment. So where we don't see that quite so much in Michigan, California, and other areas where they are constantly experiencing wildfires, this is significant for them.
I would think this would be something that would be great for people with asthma as well.
Absolutely. I would encourage anyone that owns a small business to at least take a look at this, maybe call us for a free demo for a test and see what it can do. The feedback that we've had when I've had candidates coming in to hire, and they can see the extents that we've gone to try to make sure that this is a safe environment, it matters. And if you stay out of the debate about masks and things of that sort, again, we all want that clean, safe air, but you also have employees that are extremely concerned, no matter how much you may not be, right? And to be able to have these in place, it's a real small cost, and it's a no-brainer to keep something like this deployed.
We're talking with Matt Carr. He's the president for Airotrust and Storch Product Company. And with Matt, we know that it's perfect for office spaces because of the way that's set up. It's the magnets that just goes on, and we know they have the tiles typically with the metal. Are you looking at trying to produce something like this for homes? Because we don't have the metal for them to stick on like in an office setting.
We are not going to do that at this time. I'm looking at, this is a pivot, as you mentioned. We're a well-established 70-year-old company. We're doing great right now with our other products that we manufacture. And the challenge to try to get this out into the industry has been difficult in its own right. People haven't known to search for what we've now trademarked building mask, for example. And they're being sold much more complex solutions at a much higher price. Our office, for example, received a quote for $60,000 for a system that had UV, and it's a spaceship that sits on top of the building that everybody would forget about next week because they can't see it and they don't know if it's been maintained. We come around, and the most difficult thing about this whole process of developing the product is that it's so affordable and can be deployed everywhere. And because we didn't make a special filter, we used an industry standard filter. You have the choice of using any filter brand or manufacturer of your choosing. The only thing that we bring to the table is third-party testing now that can offer some additional validations, because the real secret for Airotrust, if we want to share that and why it works, we believe we get a lot better efficiencies using the same filters as you'd have up on top of your roof, because we're at like 1/10 of the speed, if not 1/20th. See, HVAC systems run at like 490 feet in a commercial setting, but the supply vent that's only directly above your head is going to be about 35. So it's a much slower capture rate, and we're catching more particles.
So with that, I can think of a couple businesses right off the top of my head, because when we go to like a dentist or a beauty salon and they put you back in the chair, you immediately look up. And there's nothing worse than when you look up and you see, the dirt all around their, like their systems. This is something that's perfect for that. If anything, also, it's what you said, it's about making people feel more comfortable as well.
Correct. If a mask works great for your face, and there's been so many studies that have shown that they can reduce particles in the same manner, then a building mask only makes sense.
So with that, how can people find out more information?
They can visit us at airotrust.com. That's spelled AIROTRUST.com, or at Storch, STORCH, magnetics, MAGNETICS.com to learn more.
So have you been able to bring back all of your employees?
We have, absolutely.
How's the other side of the business going for you?
We're gangbusters. We're actively looking for welders, and we're looking for salespeople. But don't mind that.
No, please go ahead and plug it all you want, because that is the theme we have heard over and over and over. The lack of employees. So many businesses, it's one of their biggest challenges right now, is trying to get employees, and skilled employees as well.
You said it so well. Thank you.
So what is the average cost of this, by the way? Do you mind me asking?
I don't mind you asking. I don't mind unveiling on the show here. We've now packaged this in a new patent-pending method of using a 4-piece design, which saves on freight significantly and packaging, and we're targeting under $100 for a turnkey product. So if anyone's interested, that's just far less than any other solution that exists.
I'm telling you, if I'm a business, this seems to be so perfect. Just let's put COVID aside. Just from so many other things that are floating around in our air. We've all had it in the office settings, and you look up and you're like, because they aren't changing the filters. They're not thinking about that. They're running businesses, right? So this is just something else outside of COVID that really seems brilliant.
I appreciate it. We think so. We've got additional filters we'll be unveiling in the next week that we're doing final development with now, and I'll mention that a washable version is in process, which means you won't have to continuously buy cartridges. We'll have a for-life washable that can be reused and put back in service. So it's really not a significant investment, and we've got lots of units on hand and are happy to do demos should anybody be interested.
So with that too, Matt, if I can ask, because I did watch the videos earlier, and it basically is just, it attaches to the square, in someone's office. So would they need one for like how many would you need per building, or it depends on the space, like one per so many feet? How are you looking at that?
We recommend, and the reason we've tried to get the cost down is that we recommend putting one on every supply vent. If you're sitting in your car and you picture this real quick and you shut off 3 of the 4 vents and you've got air roaring out of one vent, it's going to throw off the balance of the system. We don't put any load on the system, because what we've done is gone to high capacity filters that have so much square footage of material that it hasn't made an effect on the coil or the condenser. That's been the biggest challenge. HVAC companies have said, this is something you shouldn't do. This is kind of taboo. We should have never done anything like it. No one's patented or developed the product like this. And frankly, they've fought to hide filters. Nobody wanted to see them, we thought, for this whole time frame. So here's these guys that are making conveyors and are heavily into magnets, and we're out of the box thinkers. And we just took a much different approach. And it's been a little slow to launch, but the customers that have done it have been ecstatic and really, really like it.
Well, and do you think it's also helped you because you are a smaller manufacturing company that you were able to take and pivot and go with this out of the box thinking?
I think that that's the most wonderful thing for working for a company like Storch, someone that's this size and this well established. We had the resources to be able to start up a new project like that, to take a chance. And many of those don't necessarily work, right? Not all of those startups are successful. So we're in good position. We're not going anywhere. This is a well established organization that's behind Airotrust, and we expect this to continue for quite some time.
Now we just need people to understand that the product is out there. The cost is such an incredible price point, but also the great thing, you're keeping jobs here in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, this product is made in Michigan, period, which is pretty exciting.
Well, Matt, it's been great talking to you again. Anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to share with us? What about anything about Storch, the other company, Storch?
Yeah, Storch, you may have seen, we've had quite a bit of press over the last 2 years. We developed another product about 5 years ago called Supermag, and that's used for pulling ferrous metal debris off of the shoulders of highways. We've been finding a lot of ferrous metal debris on synthetic athletic surfaces. It can also be used for that. Supermag is deployed up in the Upper Peninsula on the MyTrail systems that they manage for the DNR. And those are snowmobile, ORV, and horse trails where they were existing railroad tracks for 100 years. They got repurposed. And every spring around this time, as the ground thaws and it heaves, it pushes spikes and tie plates up to that surface, which wreak havoc on the ATV industry and really everyone that's coming to visit those regions. So what's neat is that it's so strong it can suck that stuff right up off the ground. And magnetic conveyors, of course, are removing chips from coolant, and every major manufacturer that's out there supplying every OEM and every construction company virtually worldwide using Storch conveyors to get chips out of coolant.
That's awesome. I will say we found some of those, some of the things from the railroad tracks in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the West Bloomfield Trail with that. Can you use it in the waterway?
You can. We've got a new version. It was out. It's on our website. We developed one that we want to be able to get fit hooks and hazardous debris out of the waterway. So there is a underwater submersible Supermag. We had the privilege of working with the Oakland County dive team about 1.5 years ago to try that out. And look, the development of a couple of fun projects like that needed to get to the back shelf because we wanted to get Michiganders and really everyone back indoors, feeling safe when the time's ready. And ready to get back to work and overcome fear. We've been in a habit now for 12 months plus, and it's going to be hard to get people to feel safe coming back indoors. I hope Airotrust can do that.
Definitely, especially as hopefully we know the extension has been extended for 6 months for businesses to allow their office workers back. But this is a great time over the next 6 weeks or 6 months rather to get this product in and test it and let their employees feel good about returning to the office. Matt, thank you so much for being with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the interest in us.
And again, if you guys ever do another dive team exercise on the water super magnet, I want to be there.
All right. We'll
let Sheriff Bouchard know that he needs to invite me to come out.
He was gracious to let us do that. I appreciated his efforts for that and interest.
Matt Carr with us. He's the president, Airotrust and Storch Product Company. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you all for your time.